Welcome along to the third video tutorial in our series where we're learning how to create a space shooter game using Pygame Zero. In those first two videos we create a little spaceship that can be moved around using our arrow keys on the keyboard, and we can also shoot using the spacebar key on the keyboard. Okay, so far things are going well. What we're going to do in this video is get a scrolling background working to make it look as if our spaceship is actually flying. So what we're going to do, I'll just show you quickly, is we're going to use these two background images which are found in the images folder. And we're going to make them scroll down the screen one after the other, and that will give the illusion that we are actually flying through space. But really our spaceship's just sitting still and it's the background scrolling down the screen. Okay, so what I'll get you to do is jump back over to your code, and we're going to start in the top section by basically bringing in our two background images. So I might go in just above this define update section. Give it a space, and we're going to start by creating a list that holds those two background images. If I just had one, I could create a variable and assign an actor to it, but because we've got two pictures, we're going to have to create a list. So we're going to write background underscore images, and we will set that equal to, and in square brackets, remember square brackets are used to create backgrounds. We're going to write background 1, that's the name of the first background, and then we'll do background 2 and close off those square brackets. If I just go back to my images folder for a sec, you'll see background 1 and background 2 are just there. So now they are sitting inside of that list called background images. Okay, on the next line we're going to create another list called backgrounds, and we're going to create an empty list for that one. I should probably put in some comments here to explain what's going on. So I'll do the first line there first of all. I'll just put a hashtag next to that, and I'll just say create a list to hold the two background variations. If you look at those two backgrounds, if you open them up, you'll see there's a slight variation between them. So there's the first one and there's the second one. So I'm just scrolling my mouse between them. Whoops. So you can see the stars are in slightly different arrangements. So it doesn't always look the same when that background is scrolling through. Okay, so we've got the first comment saying create a list to hold the two background variations, and the second there we're going to write in that we're creating an empty list, and that will hold the different background images when they appear on the screen. Kind of similar to this bullets list up here that held all the different bullets that appear on the screen at one time. This list here is going to hold all the different backgrounds that appear on the screen at one time. So I'll quickly put in a comment that just says an empty list to hold different background images when they appear on the screen. Alrighty, that's looking good so far. Now the next section, we're still in this top bit up here. What we'll do is we might randomize the backgrounds so they can appear in any order. It might be the background 1 appearing first and then background 2 appearing after that. Or it might be background 1 appearing 3 times first and then background 2 appears a couple of times after that. And it just randomly keeps popping up different background variations just to keep it interesting in the background there. So I'll put in a hashtag that says create two random actors for the background. Oops. And add them to the backgrounds list. Okay, now if we want to randomize these backgrounds so that they appear in random order, we need to go at the top here where we do our imports. Okay, and one more import that we need to bring in is called random. So I'm going to put in the second one here, just write import random. That brings in a little bit of extra functionality now to our code that will allow us to randomize those backgrounds. It's like an extension pack brought in for Python, or Pygame Zero in this case. Okay, so let's put in this code now. That will create those two random actors and add them to the background list. So we might call it background. We're going to use a lot of words with background in here, which could get confusing. So background is going to be equal to actor, and this is where the random code comes in. So we write random. That's the little library of code called random up here, and we're going to write dot choice. Okay, so it's going to access a function, or a little bit of code inside of that library. It's called choice, and in brackets we are going to write background underscore images, and close off both of those sets of brackets. So there's two closing brackets at the end of the line there, just be aware of that. Alright, we're going to set up our coordinates now for these backgrounds. So we're going to write in background.x equals and background.y equals on the next line. Oops. Now, we know our screen size is 800 by 600, and I've purposely made my backgrounds that exact size. So if we want those backgrounds to appear in the middle of the page when they first appear, we might set them to halfway across the x-axis, so 400, and halfway down the y-axis, which is going to be, actually we won't go all the way down, we'll go 300. Yes, it's halfway, isn't it? 300. Okay, so that will set the background to appear basically in the middle of the game screen. I should probably put that into a comment here. So set this background to appear in the middle of the game screen. Okay, that comment could be used on the line above it as well, but I won't copy and paste it in twice. Alright, once we have got that, what we're going to do is go back to that empty list called backgrounds, and we're going to add something to it. So I'm going to write backgrounds.append. Means we're adding something to that list, and we are going to add in the background we just created. Okay, it could be either background 1 or background 2. It's a random choice, but it's going to be added in to that backgrounds list just there. Alrighty, that looks pretty good. Now what we're going to do is add in a second one of these. So I'm going to do a bit of copy and pasting here just to save time. What I would like you to do is copy and paste that entire section you just put in. I'm not going to copy the comment this time. I'm going to press Ctrl C, go down a couple of lines and press Ctrl V. Okay, now we're going to again create another background, and the actor is going to be a random choice between background 1 and 2. It's going to appear on the x-axis right in the middle at position 400. But what I'm going to change here is the y value. This is the second background that's going to scroll down the screen after the first one. So I'm going to set this to -300, which means it's appearing outside of the screen at the moment, so up the top of the page. And it's going to scroll down the screen after that first one. Okay, so I need to change this comment here. I'm going to get rid of that comment. And I will write something like set this background directly above the previous background. Okay, and as I said before, it's going to slide down the screen on top of that other, or above that other background that's already moving down in this position here. So this one's on the screen, this one here is above the screen, and they will both start sliding down once the game starts, and they will just keep sliding down, and then once they hit the bottom of the screen they'll put themselves back up the top, and the process will repeat. Okay, we haven't got all that code in just yet, but we'll do that in just a moment. So that's quite confusing. Okay, if you don't understand that, don't stress. I probably should have changed some of those keywords up a bit, because I used the word background quite a bit there. But just know you've got two different backgrounds. They're going to be appearing at random times. Well, not at random times, they're in random formation, I guess you could say. One's going to be on the screen, followed by another one coming down from the top of the screen, and they will be moving down the page. Okay, eventually when they get to the bottom of the page, and disappear off the screen, they will work their way back up to the top and just repeat the process. Okay, now we haven't got all the code in to make that work just yet, but that is a good start. Okay, the next thing we're going to need to do is move down into our update section. So here's the update section here. Let's go all the way to the bottom of that. So we were looking at the bullets last time. We were down in the update section. Okay, it's just above that define draw area that you need to make a little bit of space, and we're going to add in some code now to make those backgrounds move down the page. So to do that, we need to make a loop. And we're going to write for background in backgrounds. Okay, so we're going to look through that list called backgrounds for any instances called background. So any backgrounds that are on the screen at the moment, we're going to tell them to move down the y-axis. So I'm going to say background.y, and we're going to say plus equals 3. So it's moving down the page at a speed of 3. I'll put a comment in here that says move the background down the page. If you would like to see that background move faster down the page to make it look as if your spaceship's moving quicker through space, just make that number bigger. You can also make that number smaller if you'd like it to appear as though your spaceship is just cruising along quite slowly in space. Alright, now the other thing we need to do is, as I said before, once the background disappears out the bottom of the screen, we need to basically reset it up the top of the page so it can again start scrolling down on a bit of a loop. Okay, so I'm going to put in a comment first of all that says once the background exits the bottom of the screen, return it to the top. Okay, and the way we do that is a simple if statement. So we just do a check first of all to see if our background on the y-axis is greater than 900. So it's disappeared well below the bottom of the screen. If it has, then we're going to write background.y minus equals 1200. Okay, and then we're going to randomize it again. So background.image will equal a random.choice between those two background images we looked at before. Okay, so either one of those two backgrounds could appear next time they slide down the page. I think that's about all we need there. I might just put in a comment actually to explain that last bit. So I'll put in a hashtag. That's right, change the image to a random background, and it returns to the top. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Last thing we need to do now is basically draw that background onto the screen so we can see it. So down in your draw function at the bottom there, I'm just going to go below that screen.clear. And alright, draw the background. Let's give this a crack. So we'll do a loop again, because we could have two backgrounds on the screen there. So we'll write for background in backgrounds, put in a colon, and write background dot draw, open and close a bracket. Okay, so it looks through that backgrounds list created earlier, the two backgrounds that are there, and it will draw them on the screen. Simple. Hopefully I've got everything. Let's give it a test run. Alright, seems to be working okay. So you can see those starry backgrounds working their way down the screen at a speed of 3, and it makes it look as if your spaceship is flying through space. Now, as I said before, we can change the speed of that background. Okay, it's this one here, background.y plus equals 3. If we want to double speed it, let's make it 6. And it will really look like your spaceship's cruising through space. That's some pretty high speeds. It can look a little bit laggy, a bit glitchy if you go too quick. You can slow it down if we go speed 1. Okay, you can see he's just cruising along nice and slowly there. I like speed 3. That was a pretty, I guess, standard speed you would expect to see in a game like this. So now we can fly around here. We can start shooting. It's starting to come together quite nicely. Okay, I'm going to end this video tutorial here, but we are nowhere near finished yet, so I will catch you in tutorial 4 very shortly.